good.
Oh, I was waiting for the... I didn't get one. Well, Zunk, before we get into some NHL preseason stuff here, I was chatting with our subscriber,
Yay!
and it turns out he really didn't know us very well. So I just wanted to take a moment here to kind of let the people know who we are. So if you can go ahead and share your photos on your phone for me, we'll just flip through all those so we can all just have this nice bonding experience, get to know each other. It's all good, wholesome fun. Just fucking do it.
No. And I'm gonna report you.
Well, that's it. I quit.
Oh, fuck. Welcome.
Yeah. We're talking some NHL here because the season starts. Well, preseason starts. I don't know for everybody, but for the important team, it starts on Sunday. So let's get this shit done before then.
Absolutely. And Christopher J's over there. Lunchroom Syndicate is back, and we're something than ever. And we are talking Pacific Division first. We're going to break this up into 4 different parts, and at the end of the videos, we'll give our prediction for the standings.
Yeah, possibly 2 parts. Maybe we'll get through the West. We'll see.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
We'll see. West Side!
I don't want to change the graph, no. But first, we are going to start in the West. We'll start with the division that nobody cares about, the Pacific Division.
I want to say nobody cares about this. This house is team number 2.
That is true. That is true. And I suppose we should. Okay, you're still with me, right? Okay. God damn it! I don't want the second fucking video. Sorry. We're having a moment.
Well, you're having a moment.
All right, so
pretty good.
Fair. So we're gonna go in basically. Uh-oh. Skype. We're good. Everything's fine.
What?
I don't.
Are you all right over there?
I minimized Skype and it just froze us for like 30 fucking seconds.
All right. Well, good. Yeah, we're gonna be going through the Pacific Division. Each team, letting you know what's coming up and what to expect here for the season ahead. Starting off with the Vancouver Knuckleheads.
You know, Vancouver should be proud that Arizona, Columbus, and Winnipeg all exist, because this is one of the most fucking dysfunctional organizations out there, and they're probably not even in the top 3 dysfunctional organizations in the NHL.
Yeah, they have all kinds of dysfunction going on. However, they got a pretty solid team, and if they can get shit figured out, I think it's a playoff team. But they got some shit, so it's a coin toss for me.
Yeah, you have it as a coin toss. You have it literally 50-50. I have it way lower than you. This is one of our more drastic differences. I have it 20-80. I just don't trust this team, and when you have that kind of dysfunction, it's hard for me to put you in the playoffs.
Well, that dysfunction, it may come through a little heavier. Tyler Myers has got to be out at some point.
You would.
I mean, not even just from the dysfunction part, but as a team, I would think Tyler Myers is out. Go to a contending team. I think he still has a lot of game to offer the right team. Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, when are they going to get fed up?
I think that's their biggest storyline going into the season is which one of them makes their trade request first. If they haven't already, we may not know about it, but I highly doubt it would stay secret if they did. Part of me thinks it's going to be Quinn Hughes first because he seems more likely to be annoyed, and I could see him trying to push his way to Jersey and try to play with his brothers. There was some of that talk a little bit.
Did he just get the C?
Does it matter? I mean, he
A
did.
little bit.
I mean, you're right, he did. But they traded their last captain. Why wouldn't they trade this one?
Yeah, I think it's different if it's a standing captain versus, hey, we're going to give you the captaincy,
Yep, fair.
and 3 days later we're going to trade you. But
That's fair.
they have had a couple players that they brought in that are going to be key pieces. Really, four big names coming in: Teddy Bluger, Ian Cole, Carson Sushi, and Pius Suter. Carson Sushi and Ian Cole are huge additions to this team, though.
Yeah, they are. They're really solid players. I like the Cole one a lot. I think that really helps solidify some of the back end stuff. But and they have trouble on the back end because they Thacker Demchko when healthy is a pretty good goaltender. So if they just had defense in front of them, I think that's a positive in their direction.
Any big pieces that they lost?
Looking at it, I mean, you have some big names on there. Like, I know Ethan Bear, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Travis Dermott are decent names, but I say all those guys aren't where they are now. I mean, Ekman-Larsson's lost a lot since his Arizona days.
He was bought out of his contract.
Yeah.
It's not a free agency or anything. He was bought out.
Yeah.
Michael Furland, I think, can offer quite a bit.
Yeah.
Ethan Bear, for me, is the big one on there, trying to help out the power play. The guys that they brought in, Ian Cole and Carson Sushi, neither of them are going to be helping out power play.
No.
But they're going to be real solid in their back end. But you don't need anybody to help out your power play when you have Quinn Hughes back there. Maybe that'll open the door a little bit more for Tyler Myers to show some of his offensive talent that has been put on the backside for a long while. Impact players, Quinn Hughes, Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, they're still going to be bringing it for as long as they are with the team. Again, I got them at a 50-50. You got them at a 20-80. Who's our next team?
Our next team up on the list of misfits is the worst team in the NHL last year, I believe, in terms of points, the Anaheim Ducks.
Anaheim Ducks. They brought in a pretty good amount. They brought in Robert Hagg. Is he still with them? Maybe? Yes? No?
I don't know. Probably. Let's go with it.
Radko Gudas.
No. That's
in,
not what it says.
In,
That's not what it says there.
In, out. Yeah, but they can't see what it says,
That's
so
true.
you can't tease them with Gaudas.
No, it says Radio Gudas.
Alex Killorn, Alex Stalock, and Ilya Lyubushkin they got for a fourth-round pick from Buffalo. Okay additions, and when you look at, they lost Nathan Bellio, Max Tomtos, Michael Del Zotto's one of their bigger ones, Ali Eriksson Ek. Yeah, there's how many Eriksson Eks do you know running around? At least two. Derek Grant, Scott Harrington, Oli Uo Levy, Kevin Shattenkirk. They lost quite a bit, but none of their core, none of their impact players. Trevor Zegras, Troy Terry, Jamie Drysdale should all still have excellent seasons, and adding in Killorn to that mix and keeping Max Jones and Frank Vetrano, Ryan Strome, Cam Fowler in there. They're looking pretty good. I mean, compared to what they were, I think they're trajecting in the correct path, but it's not gonna be quick, and it's not gonna be big or drastic.
No, but there's a case to be made that last year was an aberration. They should not have been that bad. There was no reason for it. And some of that was coaching, and I think they did get a new coach. And so you wonder, is this team going to take a step? And what does that step look like? And I think that's critical. If they get 75 points, is that a big enough step in the right direction? I would say so. But maybe they could get to 80 if things break right. I agree. I don't think they're a playoff team. I don't think they're close. I have them at 15%. You have them about 25, so you're a little bit higher on them than I am. I think that's because maybe the nature of the West right now isn't great, especially after you get past the top 3 or 4 teams. And then their biggest storyline, and also in terms of trades, when and if and when will they trade John Gibson?
I don't think it's an if at this point.
No.
He's been pretty vocal about it.
Yeah.
I would have thought that it would have happened by now. It's just a win with John Gibson and to who.
That's gonna
But yeah, so that's a big question mark. But they do have some younger talent coming in this year, or possibly this year. Is this the year? Is Leo Carlson going to jump right into the NHL? Maybe. Doubt it. Maybe. Mason McTavish, however, should get some good playing time.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if you got guys that are close, there's no reason not to play them at this point.
And the question mark there for me with guys coming in, if Gibson is out, does that mean Dostal's going to get a look? I still think it's a little too early for that. But hell, I'm a Sabres fan. Pop them in when they're fucking newborns and they're good to go.
I mean, it's a different era, man. The younger guys play goalie quicker. I think we've talked about that. We've seen that. We're seeing that more and more where the 20, 21, 22, 23-year-olds are getting the starting jobs. And I think that's a thing that's going to continue, especially being young, cheap, and if they're good. But let's move on to our next team now.
The Calgary Flames. You lose Tyler Toffoli, but you bring in Sheriff Ganovich. I like Sheriff Ganovich. He's not Tyler Toffoli.
No.
But they have top-end talent in Calgary. So maybe getting rid of that upper talent and bringing in more of a depth middle line guy that can really drive the energy is the right way. Maybe it'll help him out quite a bit.
Yeah. Obviously that trade last season, last off season with the Huberdeau for Kachuk trade and Uyghur looks bad right now because of what happened in Florida. Kachuk going to the Stanley Cup final. But we can't make a determination on that trade in 1 year. Yes, Huberdeau had a awful year by his standards. What was it, 40 plus points below what he scored the year before? I mean, that was lower than his career norms. Maybe you didn't expect him to do another 100-point season, but man, you weren't expecting that. Like that's big. And losing Gaudreau and Kachuk and all these guys, that can't happen again. So it's gonna be about, can they find their magic? Despite that, they still finished with 93 points and barely missed the playoffs.
That's 2 points better than 1 point better than Florida.
1 point better than Florida.
1 point better than Florida. So to sit here and say, oh, here's a winner and loser of the trade, I don't think that's fair at all.
I think it's way too early.
I don't think either of us really had that trade moving the needle for each team. A lot of people thought it was like a winner and a loser, and we talked about that before. We thought it was a fair trade for both teams.
Agreed.
But that's getting back into previous shit. Huberdeau's still there. Elias Lindholm is still there. Kadri is still there. So their impact players are still intact. We talked about adding Sheriff Ganovich. Rasmus Anderson and Mackenzie Weegar are good defensemen. I'm a little happier having a Rasmus Anderson as a first pairing than I am with Mackenzie Weegar. I'd love to have him on as a second pairing. I don't know how much they have after that, though. It kind of scares me.
Well, and then
especially because I left off one name.
Yes.
And it's somebody that's already been talked about being moved around. Noah Hannafin. And Buffalo. I'll take him.
Yeah, get on it. Noah Hannafin, a lot of rumblings there, and then obviously with kind of with how Calgary's been with all these guys wanting out. I mean, at this point, I expect him to be traded probably around trade deadline times. It's really going to depend on where Calgary is in the standings. I figure they're going to be in the playoff hunt, right? I mean, this is not a bad team. I have them.
Well, you got them at 50-50. I got them at a 60-40 chance, so I'm a little bit higher on them. We'll get into our final standings here, our final predictions here later on. But we've got them looking pretty decent going into the season.
Absolutely.
Moving on to the Golden Knights, they have lost out on Riley Smith, Teddy Bluger, Lauren. I struggle with that fucker's name all the time. Broussard.
I don't know. That guy.
Phil Kessel, Nolan Patrick, and the legend Jonathan Quick, all out of Vegas. Who did they add?
I'm done.
And we're moving on. But they're defending Stanley Cup champions. Neither of us have them out of the playoffs this year. You got them at a 95 chance coming in. I got them at an 85. I don't. I got all my teams. My top teams are all just automatically lower than you. I don't think anybody's a guarantee in this league.
And that's why I got 95-5, because you just never know about injuries. But if they're healthy, they're making the playoffs. It's not even going to be a question.
They're keeping their core intact. Eichel, Stone, Marshall, Trangelo in. William Karlsson. I really like Keegan Colasar. Type of guy who's going to come in there and let your players be the players that they need to be. Cody Glass, is this going to be the year? How many years has everybody been saying that? 5 years now? Shit or get off the pot, Cody Glass.
Yeah.
And just, whatever goaltender they're going to be rolling with is going to be pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, I at this point don't think Robin Lehner is going to be back for off-ice reasons at this point. But Aiden Hill came in and just decided to be amazing for some reason. But yeah, I mean, they seem like they can win with whoever the hell's back there, so why not?
I think their goaltender is just part of the system that they play, and they don't give up too many high-quality chances. They give up chances in quantity, but not so much in quality.
Right. And yeah, that is their biggest storyline going this season. Is can they go back to back? I know obviously neither one of us want that to happen, but I mean they do have a great shot at it. This is still a great team with high end top end talent. Losing another one of their original misfits, as you call them, with Riley Smith, I think it's going to hurt their veteran leadership a bit. I like Riley Smith, but I don't think that's a needle mover in terms of their team, but they're good.
And then off to Hollywood. You need to do that as often as you can.
No.
The Los Angeles Kings, big trade. What was their big move this offseason?
They went out and got, to everyone's shock and surprise, because everyone thought he was going to Montreal, Pierre-Luc Dubois. I'm not as high on him as a lot of people are, but it's a good trade for them.
I think he's the better of the players in the move. However, they gave up Rasmus Kupari, Alex Iafallo, Gabriel Velarde in that. I like those three depth pieces more than I like that one key piece, because those depth pieces, they're still, talking at least middle six. A couple of those guys are going to be playing top six.
Yeah.
Bouncing around between the first and the second line. And then they're young and up and coming, especially with Kupari there. They gave up a fair amount to get him in. They also brought in David Riddick, Andreas Englund, and Trevor Lewis. They did lose Corpusalo. They had him for a cup of coffee.
He played well for them. He did not play bad for them. He played well in the playoffs.
I've been a fan of Corpusalo for a while. I still think Columbus made a mistake with their goaltending choice. I would have gone Corpusalo over Elvis, but they have a good group of support cast: Kevin Fiala, Adrian Kempe, Philip Deneau. One of the most underrated players in the entire league. Guy's awesome. Victor Arvidsson, Kevin Connaughton, they're all going to help drive it. And then, they have some young guys that are all playing, and are they going to start becoming impact players? They should be. Is this the year Quentin Byfield, Alex Turcotte, Brant Clark all really step it up a notch? If they do, this team's almost unstoppable out west.
Well, offensively. Which is weird to say about the Kings still, considering what they were in their couple years.
But you have their chances at a 60-40. I flip that at a 40-60. They just need to find a goaltender.
And yeah, and that's understandable why you have 40-60 with the goaltending situation, because that is not good. Phoenix Copley played well last year, but you're giving him the reins at this point, and that's okay. You better hope you're right. Otherwise, you are wasting your best year since you won the cup, and you don't have much left with Kopitar and Doughty. I know they both are still playing very high-level hockey, but these guys are getting up there in age. I think Doughty's already taken a step back a little bit. He's not as good as he used to be. Kopitar's still pretty good.
Fucking smash you. Fucking getting on Doughty.
That's exactly how I expect Doughty to respond.
Fucking hell.
But, you know, I think at some point they trade for a goaltender this season. And that's genuinely what I think is going to happen.
I don't know if Anaheim's going to pull off a trade with Gibson within the division, but
still got Winnipeg.
We also have the Seattle Kraken.
The Crackheads.
Any big players in or out?
They did add Yamamoto, which is a solid depth signing. They lost Ryan Donato, who played decently for him. They lost Sushi, who we talked about earlier. Martin Jones played well for them at times last year. Not that's a big loss, but he kind of helped save their season at one point, kind of stabilizing their goaltending. Morgan Geekie, Daniel Sprong, Alexander True. Nothing too crazy, and Donskoy as well.
You're glossing over Daniel Sprong too. I've been probably a little too high on him. I've been calling him for having a breakout season back in his days with Pittsburgh. He's been playing well. He just hasn't really hit that next gear yet. And it's kind of the time for him. If he's going to do it, it needs to be pretty much this year.
Yeah.
But it won't be with Seattle.
No.
But I got their shots. It's a 50-50 here. You got them at a 60-40. Shane Wright, I don't think you're going to be seeing Shane Wright in Seattle this year yet. I'd give him another year down. Riker Evans looks to be a little closer to being ready. I don't know if he's going to be playing yet or not. I think he's the closest one there. And if you're going to bring in one of your young top-end prospects.
And I don't know if they necessarily need to. They have a lot more pieces there than you would think. I mean, Matty Beniers was a revelation last year. Came on super strong. Won Rookie of the Year. Almost the Offensive Rookie of the Year. That's an NFL award. Wenberg's really good. Eberle, Larson in the back end, who I think really helped resurrect his career. But he was kind of had a couple down years since he left Edmonton. But he's kind of came back now. Brandon Tanev, I think, and Vince Dunn are both really good. Although Vince Dunn might be overpaid now, but that's...
Tanev? Okay.
What about Tanev? I like Brandon. Did he score a shit ton of goals last year? Am I thinking of someone else?
I don't know.
Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Nonetheless, I do have him at 640. I think they make the playoffs again. Part of that's because I think the bottom of the division is worse than the top. But this team does go with how good their goaltending is. We've seen that with Grubauer. Last year, he started playing well with Martin Jones. They got 100 points, made the playoffs. The year before, he was fucking awful. And they were awful.
Yeah, I'm still looking to see how many goals Tanev had. I'm not sure why you brought him up in the middle of your defenseman.
I wasn't. I guess that was inadvertent. I didn't realize
that's where my confusion came in. Not that I don't like Tanev. I like Tanev. I was
talking about just good players. It just happened to be all defensemen. And I got cat tail in my face. Hi, Jet. How you doing?
All right. Anyway, anywho's.
Jet, buddy. That tail is right in my face. All right. But enough about that. Now it's time to go to Jay's second team. You know he's a lover. Oh, I forgot to wear my Buffalo shirt. I was going to put that on. The Edmonton Oilers.
Buffalo's not for the next video.
That's right. I forgot to put my Edmonton shirt on.
You forgot to put on your Drysdale with the fucking logo all fucked up.
I know. Fucking goddamn. All right, but now it's time to talk the Edmonton Oilers lost to the eventual Stanley Cup champions last year in the second round in this conference semifinals. It's kind of a cup or bust year for them. I know you and I don't like that talk, admittedly, but that's kind of where they're at in their own minds at this point.
This is a team that's really pushing for that much harder than what I'm comfortable at. I don't see how anybody can look at what Edmonton has done the past 4 years and not be happy. They did lose a lot of depth with Justin Bailey, Bugstadt, Jason Demers, Oscar Clefbaum, Slater Cook, Ryan Murray, Devin Shore, Mike Smith. So they lost quite a bit. They did bring in Connor Brown, though. I think Connor Brown will fit in really nicely. Having a Connor Brown playing on one line and a Zach Hyman playing on another line when you have Draisaitl and McDavid, I think that's I think that can be really dangerous to a lineup that's already extremely dangerous. Nothing new with your impact players. Hopefully a full season with Matthias Ekholm. That defense was completely different with him in the lineup. Everything that I wanted him to provide to that team, he did. Stuart Skinner coming off of a great rookie campaign. Is he going to back that up, or is he going to fucking Jim carry it?
Now, that's the thing, and that was kind of the biggest thing in that second round series. There was an argument. Jack Campbell played well when he was in. They should have went to Campbell before. Because Stewart really was bad in that second round.
It was, that's the hardest part with having a young guy is managing the game that's within the game. And it's nobody's saying that these guys don't have the skill to do it, but there's so much more to playing at this level than just having the skill to do it. I'm not a big fan of them throwing him to the Wolves. However, if it was successful for him, we're not saying that.
Right.
We're saying, oh my God, they gave him an opportunity and he rose to it. This guy's going to skyrocket. He's a superstar.
Yeah.
So it's easy to sit here and have the 2020 vision after the fact. But,
you and I are both
playoff chances 95, 90. Yeah, they're in.
Yeah. Want to feel old. This is going to be Connor's 9th season. It's a lot. Oh, I mean, great, he's still like 27, but 26. He's still young as fuck because he came at 18. But I realized that today. I'm like, holy shit, he's in his 9th season. I think Draisaitl's on 10. Jet, buddy, please. Okay, you gotta get down. Oh no, damn it. Go ahead and talk, Jay. Talk.
Sorry, Zunk. No, I lost you in my earpiece.
Oh, well, that's fun because
I stayed silent because I was off the radar.
Well, this happened literally just now. That was where my other piece of my headphone is. Guess who did that? I won't name Jet's name. Literally just now, because I was pulling him off, he grabbed my headphone and fucking just... Luckily, my other one still works, but I need to get more... Because my wireless don't work well with my computer for some fucking reason.
Well, speaking of Jet, we're now going on to the San Jose Sharks.
The Sharkamisses.
I think this team's actually improved. You disagree. You got them at a 5% chance. I have them at a 35. I don't think they're in. I think they're still at one of the bottom teams. I do think they're improved, though.
I think this is the worst team.
When you lose an Erik Karlsson, a 100-point defenseman, but Jan Ruda's a really, really solid defensive defenseman. Mike Hoffman and Michael Granlund add a lot to this lineup. Anthony Duclair is a beast when he wants to be, and hopefully he's going to want to be all season. Mackenzie Blackwood coming in at goaltender for him. They got Suster, Kyle Burrows, Scott Sabarin. I think this team's really improved.
You are a lot.
You think, will this be the worst
I
team? I
I
don't think it will be.
I think they are the worst team in the league. I think they end up with the
I
least points.
I think they're bottom 5 or 6, 4 maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
a lot of those guys you name are fine, but the problem is like Mike Hoffman. He's been around a while. He's not as good as he was before. Granlund's good. Mackenzie Blackwood. Well, I mean, was he really that good ever? Um,
compared to what they had, yeah.
Well, yeah, compared to what they had. Anthony Duclair,
Again,
like,
I'm looking at this in terms of, is this team actually trying to get better?
yeah,
And they were in a situation having a 100-point defenseman. It's a no-win situation.
Yeah,
I think they did really well with their hands tied together.
No, I agree.
Greer is doing good things with this.
I'm not saying what they're doing isn't the smart thing to do. I think it is. I actually think they're going the right route. Be bad for a couple years, get some really good young guys. I just think they're the worst team in the league, and that's fine. That's not a bad thing. It is, but it's not for them this year. That's not a bad thing.
William Eklund, maybe look for him to step in. Will Smith, I think you're still a little too early on. Quentin Musty, again, I think you're probably a year away from Quentin Musty really being in the conversation. But you got some young talent coming in quickly here. It's not an overly old team, but you do need to start replenishing.
They do.
I think Greer's doing good with this team.
I agree. I think
not
he's doing
a playoff
fine.
team, but they're moving.
And I do wonder. I think you could start looking at a Logan Couture trade watch. I don't think they're going to trade him this year. He's 32. He doesn't really fit their current timeline. Yes, he's I think the captain now, so you don't necessarily want to get rid of that. But right now, you know, it's going to be a weird dichotomy going forward. Only because he doesn't really fit their timeline, and you know, he might want to win. And by the time they get ready to win, he might be gone.
So let's go over where we think the teams are going to finish in what order here. Our top 2, we agree on. You just have them flipped. Edmonton and the Golden Showers. I got Edmonton winning the division. You have Vegas,
and that will matter, obviously. But if you say Edmonton's gonna win, I'm not gonna be like, oh hell no. I'm like, no, either one of them can win the division. They're easily the 2 best teams in the division, and probably in the West. So with one exception, obviously, they're really good teams.
The bottom 2, again, we have the same 2 teams. We just have them flipped. I have Anaheim at the bottom with San Jose above them. You have San Jose as probably the worst team in the league, with Anaheim just above them. I think they're both moving in the right direction. I don't know. I think this division, while not extremely strong, it doesn't really have weak players throughout. I think they're all competitive. Once you get 3 through 8, I think they're all competitive. Your top 2 are your top 2. 3 through 8, I think, are competitive. And I have that order in with Calgary, Seattle, Vancouver, and LA. And you have it almost flipped from what I have it with LA, Seattle, Calgary, and Vancouver.
It's time to see what happens. I don't know if
only months and months and 90 games away.
Yeah, I do agree. I think it's a competitive division. I don't think it's the worst division in hockey at this point. I think that belongs to the next division we're going to do. And I think when you look at divisions, in an ideal world, if you were splitting divisions up, this is how you'd have. You'd have two really good teams, about 4 or 5 slightly above average teams, and a couple bad teams. That's your ideal world in parity. Parities is everyone's the same, but you know what I mean by that.
Well, did you want to go ahead and break here in this video and start another one? You want to take a break? What do you want to do here?
Let's break the video off, and we'll end this video, and we'll go to Central, and we'll get to Central then.
All right, sounds good. Well, this has been Jay and Christopher with the Lunchroom Syndicate, here telling you all the facts that you need to know about the Pacific Division. Join us in 30 seconds for the Central. Until then, deuces.